Hey guys, what is up? Welcome to another video on my channel Hairliciously. Now today I have exciting news. As you guys can tell from the title of this video, I am going to get a second hair transplant for free. Now I know that I've been kind of wanting to get a second hair transplant, but a lot of you guys were telling me that I should wait until I had further hair loss. A lot of you guys were saying that my hairline looked okay. And I do agree, for the most part. My first doctor, when I got my first procedure done back in November of 2016, I got 1,700 grafts implanted into the frontal portion of my hairline. This is quite an improvement from the hair loss that I had before, where I actually had a higher forehead with receding temples. But the reason why I wanted to get a second hair transplant was because, number one, I felt that my hair loss wasn't going to be as severe anymore. I don't have that much of a severe hair loss running in my family. There's a few people who are bald, like a Norwood 6, Norwood 5 or Norwood 6, but I'm almost 30 now, and I feel like at this point, if I do suffer from further hair loss, it's not going to be to the extent where I'm going to lose a lot of hair. And so if you guys take a look at my hairline, you guys can still see that there is a lack of density. So that is my number one reason why I wanted to get a second hair transplant. I wanted to increase the density into the frontal portion of my hairline. And also I kind of wanted to lower it just a little bit, maybe half a centimeter. And also fill in these temples here because they are a little bit receded, and I would like to kind of bring them down just a little bit so that it looks natural, and possibly bring this down just a little bit to make my forehead look a little bit smaller. But I'm very happy, I'm very thankful for this opportunity. I reached out to several doctors and I requested to work with them in terms of a sponsorship. I do have a growing number of subscribers thanks to my viewers. And I feel like social media would be a good way for a clinic to, show their work. And I've done a lot of research. It's not just like, I just chose a random doctor just to work with. But this doctor, I've looked at his work. I've looked at a lot of his videos, and he seems very honest. So I will be going to South Korea probably sometime in October or November. Yes, it is in South Korea. I did find a doctor in the US, but I decided not to go with him because I felt like the doctor in South Korea would do a better job as far as drawing out my hairline and filling in the density. So I'm looking forward to that. Now I will go over which doctor I'm going to be going to, but that's going to be done in a separate video. Right now I just wanted to let you guys know that I am actually scheduled for a second hair transplant for the hairline. And let me just show you guys what it looks like right now. Now, because this was my first hair transplant, there was a lot of things that I wanted to do differently, and there's a lot of things that I've learned over the process. So hopefully during my second journey, I can actually walk you guys from day 1 all the way to day 365, or however long it takes to see the final results. And this will be pretty much like a part 2 in addition to my first hair transplant. So I'm very excited and I'm looking forward to this hair transplant. Now in terms of grafts, I know that most people can probably, if they go with FUE, they can probably extract about anywhere from, I want to say 7,000 to 8,000 grafts from the back of the donor zone. And I've already used up 1,700 into the frontal portion. And so for my second procedure, I don't want to go anything too crazy because I do want to make sure that I have enough donor supply for further hair loss. But I am planning on hoping to use about 1,000 grafts into the frontal portion to add in the density. And the thing is, if you guys don't have density, even with a well-established hairline, it's kind of hard to do a lot of the hairstyles because you need density to make the hair look thick. And for example, a lot of Korean men like putting their hairs down. They like to cover their foreheads. They like to grow out their hairs. But it gets a little bit hard to do if you don't have the density in the frontal hairline, because if I put down my hair, you guys can see that, the hairs are really thin. And even if I were to grow it out completely, it's not going to be able to cover my forehead because, first of all, the density is not there, and because the forehead is a little bit big. So my goal is to lower the forehead just a little bit, not too much, and then fill in the temples here and then add in density, and I think it would look a whole lot better. So this actually brings back memories because it reminds me of what I had to go through in terms of my first hair transplant. I think the number one concern would be trying to hide the fact that I've actually had a procedure done. And when I had my first hair transplant, I actually tried growing out the frontal hairline because they end up shaving the sides and then they let you grow out the top, but then they do cut a portion in the frontal hairline because they need space to implant the grafts. And I remember cutting my hair short on the back. Well, I actually had no choice, but in the front, I ended up growing it out in hopes of covering the, all the red dots and the recipient area. So I'm kind of debating what I actually should be doing for my second hair transplant. I'm still thinking of growing it out and then hopefully I can try to cover it because I think I would have enough hair to grow by November or October. So the other thing that I do remember from my first hair transplant is the pain. Now the pain is tolerable, but if somebody tells you that a hair transplant doesn't hurt, they are lying. The part that actually hurts the most, I think, is when they are actually administering anesthesia into the back of the scalp and also into the recipient area. And I think that's the most painful part about a hair transplant. But I mean, after a few seconds, you don't feel a thing. After the procedure is also when you might be able to experience some pain because, once the anesthetics wear off, your scalp is red and then, there's a lot of trauma because, if you do FUE, there's going to be a lot of grafts that's going to be extracted from the back of the scalp. And then also in the recipient area, there's going to be all these slit marks where the doctor implanted the grafts. So your head is going to be sore and it does take time. But I think overall, the thing that I hate most about hair transplants is the waiting game. I remember when I first had my first hair transplant, I was waiting for just forever. And I was just waiting for hair growth. And there's a lot of things that you have to go through when you do a hair transplant. You have to go through the shedding phase where, you look good right after hair transplant because you have most of the grafts are implanted. But, after 2 to 3 weeks, the grafts are actually going to fall out and you're going to look just as bald, if not worse. So I think just the waiting part is just what is going to get to me because I just wanted to, get it over with and just have hair that's going to grow out and, increase my density. But it's going to take at least about 3 to 4 months after a hair transplant to start seeing results. So it is a long time, but it's worth the wait. And having gone through my first procedure, I think it's worth it. And I'm actually very excited for my second one. I'm looking very forward to it. And I hope that with the second one, it's going to be giving me a lot better density so that I can do different types of hairstyles. And also the other thing is if you guys look closely, you guys can see multi-hair grafts implanted into the frontal hairline. And a good doctor would not actually implant multi-grafts into the frontal hairline because it just looks very unnatural. It looks like you're going to have, doll-like hair where it just looks very pluggy. So I think what the doctor is going to do and what I'm going to be asking the doctor is to possibly lower just a little bit, reinforce the new hairline with single hair grafts, and then, work my way back with multi-hair grafts to create that more natural look. And I also wanted to bring this part out just a little bit because, even right now, if I were to measure my forehead, it's a little more than 4 fingers. So, I mean, it's smaller compared to what I had before, but it's still a pretty big forehead, as you guys can see. And so hopefully I will be able to, redesign my hairline and get something a lot more natural looking. But overall, I'm very excited. I'm very, like I said, very thankful for this opportunity. And, thanks to all of you guys, I did put in a lot of, hard work into this channel, Hairliciously. And I hope that a lot of you guys have been getting a lot of good information and that it's actually benefited a lot of the people who are, in the process of getting a hair transplant, people who are actually looking into taking finasteride or minoxidil. And so hopefully the second journey will be able to open up more doors, bring more information for you guys. And hopefully I can reflect back to my first hair transplant and then just really, kind of see what kind of things that I could have done differently into the second one. So stay tuned, guys. I will do another video discussing the clinic. I will show you guys some of the results of the doctors. If you guys have any questions, let me know. Feel free to subscribe, like this video, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Take care.